Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wellness Podcast. This is Minisode number 9. My name is Slater, and I'm here with Adam and Caitlin.
What's up?
Hello. This week, we are doing a mini episode about a new film that's coming out. The Loneliest Whale, The Search for 52 is a film that comes out on July 9th in theaters, and it'll be on digital streaming on July 16th. We'll have more information about where on digital you'll be able to download that pretty soon, but we don't have all the details quite yet. But we were granted access behind the scenes to watch Loneliest Whale, and we wanted to share a little bit about it without sharing too many spoilers, although maybe we already did share some spoilers on accident.
Maybe we did twice already.
John, it was John, all right? It wasn't us. It wasn't us.
John did it. So basically, like, the premise of the film is trying to figure out what this 52 hertz whale call is that's being heard in the North Pacific. And it originally started with the SOSUS program, which is run by the U.S. Navy. It's an underwater listening program that the U.S. Navy uses to detect submarines. And when SOSUS first started, they actually needed to catalog like all the sounds in the ocean to know like what was biological, what was non-military, ship noise, what was geologic noise, what was wave action, all this rain, all this stuff. And so the SOSUS program actually was kind of the early pioneers of like whale study when it comes to bioacoustics, because like they were the ones with the equipment in the water listening to things. So it's pretty interesting to see like how the stories evolved, because SOSUS is the first program that picked up this weird 52 hertz call. It's like not quite a fin whale call, not quite a blue whale call, but like kind of matches the pattern of each one, but not really. And so yeah, it's pretty interesting. They set off on this search to look for this whale that's been detected all the way in Southeast Alaska. It's detected off the California coast pretty often. Some of the people that are in the film, we've talked about their work or we've had them as guests on the podcast. So it was kind of fun to watch it and see them in action.
I want to know why I wasn't in the film. Because I saw that whale.
My behind the scenes knowledge of this has been for a long time. So I actually worked a research cruise for the Hildebrand Lab, who is like, John Hildebrand is one of the main PIs that's featured in the film. And I heard this myth of the 52 hertz whale from one of the acousticians that was working for his lab on this research cruise. And in 2015, when I was on the research cruise, that's when Adrian Grenier was getting interested in this quote unquote lonely whale, this 52 hertz call. And so like celebrities were starting to like pick up on the whole idea. And so Adrian Grenier started that campaign Lonely Whale, which is now turned into like the single-use plastics campaign and like all this other stuff, but also was still kind of trying to come up with this pipe dream of looking for the 52 hertz whale. And now it's like Leonardo DiCaprio is backing it, and this investigative journalist is narrating the film and like leading the search and like all this stuff. So it's been a long time coming, way before, were you in high school in 2015, Adam?
Yeah, he was.
In 2015, I was a junior. I was living life. I just got my license. I was living
for a lot longer than you've been on the scene here, Adam. I mean, no disrespect, but this has been a long time coming.
Something cool right off the bat about the film is that it's a group of people that are searching for something in the ocean, and it's a bunch of like-minded people, which is like our favorite thing. We have a bunch of people on the boat that all love whales, and are interested in just being out there with them. And it's just, I think that's just amazing, having a bunch of different researchers and people working together in one area on one focus, which is really cool.
And at the same time, you have, a world-renowned researcher, you have, the narrator or the journalist that kind of takes us on this adventure. You have, the captain of the Truth Aquatics, whatever. It is different people from different phases of life and different phases of, our community that just love the ocean. But at the same time, they all have this like-minded goal. And I think when you like, that's the beauty, in my personal opinion, of whales. Like whales can bring so many different people together. Like think about our buddy, I can't think. Hold up, it's coming to me.
Adam.
Why can't I think of his name?
Well, think about it like this.
Maya's
It
like
brought
Jeff.
Adam
Jeff.
to our
What? Think about
podcast.
Jeff. Think about Jeff. Think about Jeff. Right.
From Maya's?
Oh, his
From
story's
Maya's,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
So he was like, in the middle of Ohio as like a tech salesman, right? And then all of a sudden he fell in love with whales. Like what are the odds of that? Sorry, Jeff, I didn't mean to blunder your name there, but think about it. Like, that I think is the beauty of whales.
Yeah.
His story is so funny. Well, one of the stories he had was like, I was on the edge of the cliff in like San Juan Islands and in the moonlight, and there's killer whales like swimming by, and he was just like, I know.
How
it had to be it.
romantic, Jeff.
It's so funny.
So a couple things that I thought about, like the notes that I wrote while I was watching the film. First of all, I think they did a pretty great job of showing like what actual research is like. So they had a lot of footage of like the crew with their equipment on board, sometimes the equipment almost falling over, like catching computer monitors and stuff, and showing, what it takes to get all this equipment loaded onto boats. You're using like forklifts and cranes to load crate loads of sauna buoys, and like the crew getting discouraged and saying like, I don't know how much longer we can work in these sea conditions, and like, having to go tuck in and hide behind the island just to have dinner and sleep for the night and that kind of stuff. Like, I think it was a fairly realistic picture of like what field work looks like when it comes to whales. But also they had a pretty good cast of people that they talked to. Some of my favorite researchers, John Kalamakidis, and they talked to Roger Payne, because Roger actually,
dude, I love Roger Payne.
Oh, he's so cool.
Oh, he's so cool.
So when he first discovered, like him and Scott McVeigh and his wife Katie Payne all made the discovery that humpback whales sing, they actually got the data from SOSUS. So like someone from the Navy contacted them, and then they came in and documented and like confirmed that it was humpback whale song. But I think it's really interesting that they chose to talk to Roger for this project, because like he really is the guy that you should talk to when it comes to whales making noise underwater, right? He's so
one. Cool.
So, but I thought about like, can you imagine what people would have heard on that SOSUS array if we had never commercially hunted whales? Like, what would our ocean sound like?
Oh my gosh.
If we hadn't taken all those animals out of the ocean.
That was
the first thing I wrote down.
Have you guys ever been in the water and like recorded something with a GoPro and like all you hear is like pistol shrimp?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it would be like that, but with whales. Like.
It's like peak whale season when I jump in the water to tie up the boat at a snorkel site, and all I can hear is whales. I can't even hear the boat. All I hear is whales.
Adam, where did you film with your GoPro in Mexico?
Yeah.
When you heard the pistol shrimp?
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the lagoons where the gray whales are at, I guess it's like very, very loud. Like you can't even hear the gray whales because of the pistol shrimp.
Yeah, I did it in the Sea of Cortez when I was swimming with whale sharks, and it was super loud.
Yeah, but yeah, so Caitlin, every time she gets in the water in Maui during peak season, it's just like all you hear. Even on the beach right next to your house, Caitlin, we went snorkeling that day with the turtle. All my videos of the turtles have
whale song,
humpbacks.
But can you imagine, like, if we had never even taken these whales out of the ocean, what it would sound like?
I can't imagine. That is the one thing I always think of. Like Slater and I, we all talk about all the time, like the Miocene, right? Like imagine like, the whales back then, but imagine the whale history 300 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
even just go back. I said this to Slater earlier today, even if you could just go back to like 1400.
Yeah. There's a story up in the Pacific Northwest where they said it used to be so thick in there with humpbacks that they could walk from like island to island. That's what they would say. Like there were so many whales.
Yeah.
And now what?
So for the first time, I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast when I was in Maui, but for the first time in my career, I heard a humpback whale through the boat. So we had the boat off.
You did say that.
And all of a sudden we had someone talking on the mic, but when she paused on her sentences, it was the celestial cruise later, Harriet. So when Harriet took a break between
my lady
sentences, I was like, what's that sound? And then I put my ear up on the side of the boat and I was like, oh my God, I can hear the whale like reverberating through the hull of the boat. Like, can you imagine if you just went out and that was normal? You shut the boat off. And so many
If
whales
I
just
experienced
moan.
that, I would cry and jump overboard and just
Well,
cry.
I made Harriet stop talking because I was like, everyone needs to hear this.
Adam, have you been down in like I don't know how it works on that boat, but like on the Ocean Explorer or the Nautilus, if you go down in the bunk room where we have all the food at, and you're grabbing like a loaf of bread and you just accidentally fall down and lay down and listen with your ear up to the hull, you could hear the common dolphins that are bow riding like no other.
Yeah.
I've never done that. Our engines are pretty loud, so
You can hear.
You should be able to hear it.
Them on the bow when you're standing out on deck too.
You can hear them squeaking and stuff. You're like,
yeah, but if you go put your head down in one of those little,
it's loud.
Yeah, you could hear them,
dude. Next time I work galley, I'm gonna.
Like, hi, I'm going in the forward void. Watch the hat.
Yeah, if you go in the forward.
Anyways, back to the 52 hertz whale.
I couldn't get past that for a while.
That is awesome. But the thing that I loved about this documentary was that it kind of followed the story of the 52 hertz whale from who was the first guy that kind of recorded it? What was his name? Watkins. So that's what John Kalmakides is telling us. It's also known as the Watkins whale.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just amazing that this story spans over, generations, of this 52 hertz of this lonely whale. Mm-hmm. And I think, when we talk about connecting people with nature, I think that it's such a beautiful story. You go from Watkins to John Kalmakides to
Bruce
the
May.
Journalist.
Yeah.
Every to me, to you guys, to us seeing the potential match to this whale, or what they think it is. Mm-hmm. It really is an interesting story, and I think to further protect our planet, I think you need stories like this.
Oh, that's and like, we need stories like that.
Is it the loneliest whale? Who knows, right? But when you personify these animals, it really puts that human touch on it, and a human connection on it, which I think is the one and only way to save and protect them.
Mm-hmm. I think, and going on that along those lines, a couple of the notes I wrote down were kind of similar to that. I mean, when they interviewed Roger and talked about, mm-hmm. Like this monumental discovery of whale song, his one of his first reactions about we should share this with the world was, if this doesn't get people interested in whales, I don't know what will. And then, when people care, they change the world. And so that was Roger's goal, was sharing that record in 1970. And I think this film's a good way to keep that momentum, right? We still don't know things about the ocean, and then this film sheds this light on the threats that whales face. And Josh, the journalist, he was with global shipping and harvest and entanglements and just urbanization of our coastlines, we're creating a whole ocean of lonely whales. It's not just this 52 hertz whale. We are drowning out all the whales so that they're feeling lonelier and lonelier all the time. We're isolating these animals from each other just with our human activity. And I was like, wow, that's true.
That's deep. But I mean, think about it. How many times do we see whales together? I do think that the soundscape of the ocean is.
But maybe we'll start.
But
maybe we will start seeing whales together more often because they can't talk from long distances.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say.
But also, I'm very hopeful that when they are down 300 feet, the sound is less prominent from the ships and stuff, and they can still communicate. You know what I mean? Because 100 feet or 200 feet down for a whale is what, 2 kicks of the tail. So it's hopefully.
I mean, think about it, right? I do think sound plays an immensely important part in the oceans, but at the same time, these whales have rebounded from the whaling area, era, and they have been able to communicate. They have been able to feed themselves. They have been able to reproduce. And so they're obviously successful, right? They're successful at reproducing and feeding and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, you know, something is going right. You know, something is happening to where these whales can live life and just vibe. You know, that's all we're trying to do, right?
I mean, I usually tell people on the microphone when it comes to humpback whales, when I talk about whaling, I say it's pretty simple. You stop hunting them and they know what to do, and they can recover their numbers just fine. But for other animals like fin whales and blue whales, it's a little trickier than that, right? I mean, you hear from John, he thinks that basically the PBR for blue whales is taken every year. And that's why we haven't seen their numbers change. Like that many blue whales are being removed, that they're not getting above that threshold. So
Like they have
what is
one,
PDR
lose
for
one,
people?
basically.
What is PDR for people that know?
percent
rate?
biological removal. So how many animals can be removed from non-natural sources each year and not have an impact on their population? And for blue whales, it's like 1. So
Yeah. And John was saying that he thinks at least 100 are getting killed by human causes every year, you know? So that's why they're sitting in that 2000 range. And he says they have been since the 90s.
yeah.
But yeah, I didn't finish the whole film myself. I will admit to that. I still have to watch the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes of it. I'm guilty. You can crucify me.
Okay, it means you can't spoil the end.
That's true, because I don't know what happens.
Well, you also were only given a couple days, and you're very busy lately. So they sent you a new link though.
Yeah, this time around.
I think I'm gonna watch that tonight.
They only gave us like 72 hours to view it. The same company approached us, but it's a different production company. It's done by Bleecker Street instead of Nat Geo this time. Nat Geo gave us like 8 weeks to watch it. But yeah. So it'll be out in theaters July 9th, and you can go to Bleecker Street's website to figure out what theaters are going to carry the film. But it should be out on digital on July 16th. I'm assuming all the big ones will carry it, like Amazon and stuff, but we'll know more soon. They're still getting more information for us about it. But yeah, pretty exciting to see this story like finally go public and see the people that got involved with it. Also, I had a little bit of nostalgia when they went to talk to Bruce Mate and Daniel Palacios. They went to Oregon State and they went at Hatfield, and I went to school there.
Well, it's so cool because it for one, it hits home for us. Like, you know, like it's half the movie takes place in my backyard, in literally the harbor. You can see my boat in the background, you know, like the boat I work on. And so that's a cool part about it. But at the same time, you know, if you're a whale nerd like us, or if you're just interested in whales, there's so much to learn from this movie, whether it's from a research perspective, whether it's from an environmental impacts perspective, whether it's from just, you know, learning about the animals themselves. It hits on so many points, and I really did enjoy it. Some of the other films that we've gotten early access to, it's like, is this like a Disney, you know, movie with like some, you know, BS storyline? But like, no, like this is real science, and this is like what we really deal with on a daily basis. So I really love that aspect about it.
And it also says, like, if you're passionate about something, go for it. And they went for it. Like, they've been wanting to know about this whale, and they finally got whatever it was, funds and enough people together to like actually try to hunt this whale down. So
yeah, that's the coolest part, right? Like,
by the way, remember he was I have a million ideas if you want. You know what I'm saying?
Call us, please.
Well, remember, because he was trying to make it a reality, and who was he talking to in Alaska, right? They had a report of it off of Alaska, or a sound of it off of Alaska, and it's like, dude, if you go out in the middle of Alaska, like, what are the chances of you finding this whale? But then when you have, you know, sounds of it within, you know, the California coastline within 20 miles from shore, it's like, yeah, okay, that's a much more realistic possibility.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it was good if you really pay attention to who they talked to and how they kind of like whittled down like where they were going to go, you really kind of get a sense of how much of a struggle it is to make these projects happen. Like the Navy wasn't willing to release real-time information or close to real-time information, but this other team that's working on underwater like volcanic sounds that uses SOSUS was willing to collaborate with almost real-time information. And so that's where they actually got their clues from. And so like it's a lot of workarounds and like it's very tedious to chase down all the information and funding and everything else to get projects like this on the water, which is, I think if you really pay attention in the film, you'll see that.
Yeah.
So.
Real quick, you guys know how, or at least Caitlin saw the part where the like lab everything falls over.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a camera fall off a couch or like off a cushion or anything?
Yes.
Or a laptop or?
Very sad.
I
have.
On the Seawolf.
On the Pointer Clipper and the Seawolf.
Yeah. What about you, Adam? You never had a camera fall over?
Like roll across the dash?
I mean, if it wasn't for my own negligence, like I've definitely dropped my camera like 2 or 3 times. I've dropped my laptop on the ground. I was like, oh, I poured when I was a photographer on the boat. Jill, the galley girl at the time, handed me a bowl of soup because I wasn't feeling so good, and I spilled the whole bowl of soup on my laptop. Does that count?
I guess. I just meant like if anything ever slid over when you hit like a swell or something.
Yeah.
But sure.
Nah, I mean our boat's pretty big, and it's a cat, so it handles shit pretty well. Ooh.
Not going into it though.
Yeah, cats aren't the best
Yeah,
going into it.
whatever. Nah, it's fine. I did have a lady once break her wrist right in front of me. Absolutely snap it in half. That was fun.
Awful. We could digress very quickly on this topic, but yeah, The Loneliest Whale, The Search for 52. That's what the film is called.
It was a great film. Go see it when it comes out. July 16th.
Yeah, if you have an opportunity.
Spoiler, I've seen 52.
July 9th.
Spoiler, I've seen 52. That's my boy.
No, you haven't. He actually hasn't, guys. He has no idea yet. He hasn't finished the film, so how's he gonna know?
How's he gonna know if that's really that whale?
Got him. Thank you so much for listening to these Minisode. Appreciate all of you guys following along. And we've noticed a big
increase in following?
Increase.
Yeah, and new listeners too on across all the platforms. Podbean, iTunes, or Apple, I guess. Spotify. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And thank you to our Patreon subscribers. We did give you a little teaser post about the film in the Patreon newsfeed like 2 weeks ago, I think. And you'll have access to this video version of this episode. So thank you so much for your support. And yeah, let us know what you think of the film when it comes out.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
See you.